have this magic green. It is the color green. It can do anything. Sometimes it speaks to me. It says, how? What have you done with your life? People around you keep dying. Use your will to right the wrong. Don't make us wait.
Alright, we're here filming for preparation for WonderCon. We're actually on site at the Anaheim Convention Center at the Hilton to talk a little bit about some strategies, and parking is a big one. So we're actually starting out here at level P2 at the Hilton. Hilton's expensive for parking, so I'm not recommending necessarily to pay for that $16 a day, especially during the convention time. You can hike up even more than that. But that being said, it is something to weigh in terms of where you're going to park, because parking is a bit of a mess down here when WonderCon comes around. If you are thinking of staying in the area, I highly recommend it, or even getting dropped off potentially if somebody can drop you off, because parking is a hassle. The shuttles were a hassle last year coming from way off lot. If you are able to stay in the Hilton, P2 is the place to be, because you can walk right across, drop stuff off in the car. The Marriott also has parking across the way. That's good. If you're a Disney pass holder, you can park in Toy Story for free and walk in. That's also better than being stuck with the shuttles. One thing in general about this whole area is they've renovated the convention center area, so parking is even more difficult, and getting dropped off is even more difficult. So it's going to be interesting when WonderCon comes around. Make sure to plan extra time for parking. And as I said, if you're kind of debating on what you're going to do with parking and staying anywhere locally, there are some hotels in the area that you can stay $80 a night. If you're going to pay $20 a day for parking anyway, it's something to really consider in the equation. Okay, we're going to take a look at a few more things. Alright, in considering hotels for WonderCon, if you read my piece for SDCC blog, you know I'm not big on staying in the gas lamp during San Diego Comic-Con, but I'm the opposite on almost every other convention. And the reason being is a lot of times the prices are at a better rate than they are during the show. So I do recommend staying at the Hilton, the Marriott. They're going for around $130 a night last I checked. I'm not sure if those rates have gone in a different way since then, if that window's closed, but it's really nice. You're super close. You're able to touch base and have kind of a home station that's right there. If not, though, there's great hotels in the immediate area that go for a lot less than that. If you look up, if you just even Google Good Neighbor Disneyland hotels, there's a ton. Alpine Inn, Jolly Roger, Candy Cane Inn, all within walking distance, all great places. They're not the same as staying at the Hilton or the Marriott in terms of how nice they are and all the amenities, but at the same time, they're great places where you're able to get a good price, be one of the first people here at the convention in the morning, able to make drop-offs, take breaks, and all of the plus sides of staying right there in the center of the action. Alright, one of the things at WonderCon, not that it's quite the same as San Diego Comic-Con, meaning it's not as much of a challenge, but that being said, it is a big con, it's a long day, a lot of stuff going on, you're going to need breaks. One of the suggestions I have is recharging at the local hotels, even if you're not staying there, whether it be the Hilton or the Marriott. A lot of great kind of plus nice places to hang out. You can grab lunch, we'll talk about food options in a little bit. You bring the lunch, hang out here. Outlets are available to recharge your phone. Obviously, it goes without saying that when you go to a convention, you should have auxiliary batteries. But that being said, this is a great place to get away from the action. Now, it will be more crowded than it is tonight as we're filming. But that being said, last year we came consistently into the lobby and found great places to be able to sit, hang out, and take a break from the action, be able to eat, charge phones, and just kind of recharge our batteries all the way around. Okay, so just like the Hilton, the Marriott has tons of places to sit with outlets. In fact, if anything, the Marriott's a much better place. It's most of their couches and seating areas have outlets near them, so a great place to recharge. There's hallways going in every direction, and there's recliners and outlets all over the place. So last year when we came, we consistently were able to find a place to sit and be able to charge our phone. And so instead of sitting on the floor in the con, we were sitting in nice couches recharging our phones. In terms of food options, both hotels have a few places. The Hilton definitely has a much better food court overall for that. We have a Starbucks in both hotels. They'll be packed. There's also, though, a Pizza Hut in the Marriott that's kind of a decent place to eat as well. So if you're just looking for a quick recharge snack, the pricing is not going to be that much different than inside the con, but the quality of food is going to be slightly better. All right, one thing to be aware of if you haven't been around the Anaheim Convention Center recently, especially if you haven't been since the last WonderCon, is the renovations that have gone on. And there's a huge difference in terms of, if you recognize this, if you've been here in the past, this before was a street. So you could drive right up to the front of the show, drop people off, do pickups and all of that type of stuff. This year you're going to be pushed way back out there, so going back to parking in Toy Story, that may end up actually being one of your better options. There's parking, again, is going to be, I can't stress enough, getting up early and making sure to take care of parking if you're not staying in this immediate area. And again, if you're on the border, it may be the push that really puts you into looking up to find a hotel down in this area. But looks beautiful. Awesome all the way around, but again, it's going to add more seating, so there's a lot more areas out here where you can hang out if you're not going to be inside the hotel charging your phone or things like I suggested. But that being said, it's just going to add to the parking problems. Alright, regarding registration, it'll be taking place down here. There'll be a line a mile long if you get here on the even on time side, so make sure to also plan that. There aren't the freebies or the swag or even the level of exclusive that something like San Diego Comic-Con has, so it's not that you have to be here at the crack of dawn or anything like that. But that being said, don't be surprised if you end up in a long line and waiting a long time if you're sloppy about the times that you get here. One suggestion, if you're at all local or if you're staying in the area, is doing your registration Thursday night. We came down, we basically drove out Thursday last year. We were staying in the Hilton 2 nights, so we stayed Thursday night and Friday night. Actually, we stayed 3 nights and Saturday night. We came out a day early. There was no line at all. That way then Thursday morning my wife was able to just walk right in and there was no problems of waiting for registration. Mine was pressed, so that was a whole different story. But again, for her, just having regular attendee admission made things a lot easier coming out here Thursday night. So if you live at all close, if you're at all able to make it by, that can really it could ultimately save you an hour or so in the morning. So it's well worth your time. Last year, the convention center also shared space with some other competitions and things like that, and that's something to be aware of for conventions in general. Is it's infrequent that a show is able to just sustain itself on the weekend, meaning that oftentimes a Long Beach or a Kamikaze or these other shows share space with other conventions going on at the same time. This year, currently, WonderCon is the only thing on the schedule, so that should help a lot also with some of the stressing and the crowds and the food situations and things like that. But again, that being said, lots of complaints about the shuttle system last year, lots of people getting in here, struggling, getting into the place in time, and all of it really came down to making sure to have a plan and being on time. Alright, so in terms of food, and there are several options in the hotels if you're trying to stay in the immediate area that are outside the convention center. And again, if you're going to be in the convention center, you're going to pay convention center prices, and the quality is usually pretty low. The food courts adjacent, especially the one in the Hilton, it's the same price. I mean, it's a higher price, but it's definitely a higher quality as well. Behind me, one of the key places really is the Submarina if you're looking for a sandwich. One thing to note there, if you get a regular size sandwich there, it's really big enough for 2 people to share. So it's another way that you kind of save costs there is by splitting a sandwich. It's a huge sandwich. Thick, meaty, and much more than a Subway sandwich, let's say that. One thing to note though is this immediate area will be a mess in terms of seating. So, I mean, you can fight for a seat around this area, but again, kind of the irony is everybody will be fighting here for seats in these uncomfortable, kind of dirty tabled areas, whereas right around the corner and in the Marriott, there's usually tons of open seating there in nice recliners with outlets right near you. Alright, so in wrapping up this part of our coverage of preparing for WonderCon, the #1 tip I have is just simply not to sleep on WonderCon. It is my #1 sucker punch show of the year that I go to, and what I mean by that is it's the show that really lulls people into thinking that it doesn't require a lot of preparation, and then them being very disappointed when they miss out on things, when they struggle getting parking, when they struggle getting into the show. And so you'll hear a lot of people say things like, oh, it's like what Comic-Con used to be, it's what San Diego Comic-Con used to be, and it's like everything's what San Diego Comic-Con used to be to a certain extent. And so it lulls people into a sense of security, and then they get upset when they can't get into the show till 11 o'clock and they miss this panel and that thing. The show has grown exponentially, as we're seeing with conventions across the country, and this really has become kind of #2 in the clubhouse in California, right behind San Diego. as San Diego gets more frenetic and crazy and stressful, more and more people are going with the line of, well, I'll just go to WonderCon instead. So plan on a packed show this year, a ridiculously packed show, and have a plan going in. So think about parking, food, where to stay if you're staying out here. Most importantly, really, how are you going to get into the show each day and how are you going to get out? That's really where it all begins and ends. So really make sure to put a lot of time and thought into that to make sure that you have an enjoyable time. Most people, 98% of the people, will not plan those things, and so if you're in that 2%, or maybe it's even less than that 1%, you'll be head and shoulders above everyone else. Again, everybody puts so much time and effort into planning San Diego Comic-Con, and this is the show they sleep on, and then they become have significant disappointment as they come out and can't do half the things they want to do. So be ready for a crowded show. See you there.